So, it's not that often that I put my ugly mug and my mop of a hairdo front and center in front of you guys for a YouTube video, so I'm sure you're wondering what the hell is going on. Well, with the Planetside 2 servers still being less than ideal as far as performance is concerned, I figured we'd try something just a little bit different here today and do a bit of a Q&A. So, g'day then once again viewers, your mate Kamikaze78 here, and today you guys are going to learn a little bit more about me, whether it be gaming related or behind the scenes. So a couple of days ago, I put out a YouTube community post on our channel's community section asking you guys for some questions, and you guys came through clutch with a whole bunch. So we're going to get through some of those today. I've handpicked some of my favorites out of there. Thank you to everyone who did submit questions. I really appreciate it. A couple of housekeeping things before we get into the questions though, guys. First things first, gifted memberships are now a thing for our channel whenever we're live streaming. Big thank you to everyone who's come out and gifted out some memberships as we have been testing out the feature in our last couple of streams. It's been great. I really appreciate the support, and I'm looking forward to seeing this feature continuing to grow our community here on the channel as time goes on. Additionally, as this video goes live and as you guys are watching it on the weekend it releases, I am out of the office. I'm going to be away in Sydney for a weekend hanging out with my partner and her family. So yeah, I'll be back after that, but that explains why there's going to be no YouTube live streams this weekend. Hope you guys can bear with me. But anyway, let's get into the Q&A. If you want to see this done a little bit more often and you want to see me answer your question, then leave it in the comment section down below, guys. And yeah, if there's enough interest, we'll keep doing this Q&A series maybe on a monthly basis. We'll see how we go. Anyway, let's get into the questions. Question number one comes from Alec, who asks, Planetside is a notoriously frustrating game, we know, for players of any play style and BR alike. How often do you find yourself desiring to punch the bolter that shot you from half of Overacctions away in the face, and how do you handle the nerve? Well, firstly, yeah, I get frustrated a lot with this game. All the time. It's it's a bit of a pet peeve. Like, whenever I'm playing the game and I'm trying to get footage for a certain thing and say the fights aren't going the way in which a weapon is meant to be used in, or, you know, there's not a situation where I can use a weapon effectively that I'm trying to review, yeah, it gets frustrating pretty quickly. So yeah, this game can piss you off quite easily because there's just so many ways fights can go at any given point in time, and there's also a lot of, you know, admittedly force multiplier spam that can also throw you off your game. But I also just like to handle the nerve by stepping away from time to time. Sometimes you just need to take a break, come back with a fresh face, because I know full well that if I get frustrated whenever I'm playing a game, I know I'm just going to get more and more frustrated because I'm not going to be playing my best. So yeah, the best thing I know how to do is step away, take a break, come back when I'm a little bit more clear-headed and ready to sort of address situations as are required in due time. So yeah. Next question here comes from Fluffy Knight, and he says, do you feel like you are forcing yourself to play Planetside 2 at times? I love the game, but with no real rewards other than grinding, I find myself burning out fast every time I play, and my hours are low due to it. Good question, Fluffy Knight. I have to say, long and short answer, yeah, I do find myself forcing myself to play the game sometimes, but for different reasons. Obviously, I still enjoy playing the game to this day. I wouldn't be playing it and I wouldn't be making content for it if that wasn't the case deep down. But there are times where I do feel myself forcing myself to play the game to make content for it. Now, deep down, I know I'm enjoying myself from time to time. And for the most part, I still enjoy playing the game. Don't get me wrong, like, I do enjoy playing the game 99% of the time, but there are always going to be moments where I am playing the game where I would rather be doing something different. And that does come down to the fact that the majority of my audience here on YouTube is here for Planetside content. There's no denying that. And you guys know it, I know it. The stats of the videos that I release that aren't Planetside related don't lie. It's clear that the majority of my audience is here for Planetside and Planetside exclusively. And that does create a bit of residual pressure on me as a content creator because, you know, I do this for fun, but of course, we see the stats. Every video we release, we see the stats of how it's going. I mean, YouTube even compares its performance to the last 10 videos you've done. So if you see a video that you release rank 10 out of 10 for being the worst performer you've done in a while, it kind of sucks to see. And I'll be honest, every time I release something that's not Planetside related, I see that feedback every time. It's pretty consistent. So obviously that does nag in the back of your head. You always want to be growing as a content creator, and it can be scary to divert to something that you know isn't going to do as well as your, what you would call your core I guess, content niche, if you will. So yeah, there are definitely times where I find myself forcing myself to play Planetside 2. It is at times just due to the fact that, well, I'm a content creator and this is my area of expertise. But yeah, it's something that I do struggle with sometimes, but at the same time, I still love the game at its core, and I still love creating content for the game because I'm passionate about the game and its community, and I want to see it continue to evolve and improve. So at the end of the day, yeah, there's some times where I'm forcing it, but it's not the end of the world. Next up, we've got a question here from Demon Knight 94, and he says, do you think Planetside 2 is not just an FPS, but also an RTS? I think at its core, no. Like, obviously, if you decide to platoon lead, and if you decide to participate in big, I guess, server smashes, now community clashes, and you decide to engage in the game that way, then you are, at times, twisting it into an RTS to fit around that sort of style of gameplay, but to me, Planetside 2 is a first-person shooter and a first-person shooter mainly. There are RTS elements for people who play it that way, but I feel as though the game should very much be balanced around being a first-person shooter first, because the majority of players in this game are going to play it like a first-person shooter, and I mean that for anyone who's playing it in the aircraft side of things, the infantry side of things, the vehicle side of the things, and I feel like the majority of players are going to be playing it like a first-person shooter for the most part. Like, there's a very small percentile of players in this game that actively platoon lead, and therefore the game should be really designed first with the majority in mind. So yeah, I think there are RTS elements for those who decide to engage in that style of gameplay, but for the most part, it's a first-person shooter and a first-person shooter first. That's my opinion, at least. Next up, Camp of Kex says, should the Battlefield franchise move to free-to-play in the future? No. Look, I understand that free-to-play is a very attractive model for a lot of gamers nowadays, and I can understand why, but I personally don't think free-to-play is the answer to every game's decision-making. And the reason for that is that in order for a game to be free to play, there needs to be some serious altercations made to the progression or to something to allow for it to monetize itself in some way, shape, or form. You know, most free to play battle royale games out there, for example, well, obviously they release free maps, they release free weapon updates, stuff like that, but they always have cosmetics there available to sell. You know, Planetside is a fairly heavily monetized game. You know, not only are there cosmetics available for you to buy, but there's also weapons which affect your capabilities as a player as far as your weaponry arsenal is concerned, and there's also implants in loot crates available for sale, which obviously dictates and offers a lot of opportunity for you as in regards to, you know, loadout styles, loadout choices, stuff like that. So I don't think Battlefield should go free to play. I like knowing that when I buy a Battlefield game, I'm going to have a really expansive progression system to go through and enjoy at my own pace and just enjoy without having to spend any extra money. At least that was the case before, let's say, Battlefield 1, but since then it's been a bit of a train wreck. So I'm hoping the Battlefield franchise can pick itself up, but I don't think going free to play is the answer there. My good friend Koshify is the next person to come up with a question here, and he says, which of your videos are you most proud of? And as a follow-up, which videos are you least proud of? So I'll start off with obviously the proud ones. Definitely my two cinematic montages I've done for Planetside 2 lately, that being For the Glory and Born Ready. Both videos I thought were a lot of fun to make. I tried a lot of new creative things in them, stuff that I'm not usually experimenting with on YouTube with my regular content, and it was a lot of fun to do. So definitely those two videos. And the video I'm least proud of, I don't know, man, like there's a couple out there, like anything that's drama related I've never really enjoyed doing. Like there's been a few videos that I've done in the past where I've really sort of lent into drama and gone on lengthy rants, and that's not really what I want my brand to be, and it's not how I want to establish myself on as a content creator. So yeah, those are definitely up there as, like, you know, sort of videos in the past that I never really considered myself to be too proud of in the long run. But you know, you live and learn, and you develop as a content creator over the years by understanding where you've gone wrong and how you can improve in the long run. So thanks for that question, Koshi. Good question. Todd, the one and only Todd, the first ever Todd, has come to ask us one Planetside question and one general one. A double whammy, I'll accept it. Planetside 2, what is your favorite overall meta of the game and which is your least, i.e. routers, redeploy site, etc. And general, what are some of your hobbies outside of gaming and content creation, and or if you had more free time, what would you like to get into? So least and favorite metas of Planetside. I don't really have a favorite or a least favorite meta, if I'm being honest. I just play the game and see how I go. Probably my least favorite meta had to be router side, because routers, they broke the game in the sense that you could place one of these suckers down, have a platoon just emerge out of them, and it broke base design, because bases at their core have always been designed with the intent of having sort of predetermined attacker spawn locations with sunderers, with no deploy zones for sunderers as well, sort of directing where you can and can't deploy. And then you have defenders with, you know, set positions to defend from and teleporters to flank with, stuff like that. Like, whenever a base is designed well in Planetside, which at times a lot of the bases in the game sort of deteriorate when you throw enough people in them, but anyway, the point being, when there is a well-designed base, as soon as you put down a router, you completely circumvented that good design and you just eliminated any kind of balance that the game had as far as base design is concerned. So base, like, routers, I think were definitely my least favorite element of the meta for a while, and I'm kind of glad they're no longer in the rotation as much anymore. But moving on to your general question as to what some of my hobbies are outside of gaming and content creation, definitely photography. I've not had much of a chance to get into it as of late, but one of the reasons I bought my camera that you guys are watching on me here is that I can take it out and do some photography with it. Have to admit, since I started my new job, I've been extremely time poor between this and content creation and have not had a chance to go out and do it anymore as of late. But I do have an Instagram account if you guys want to check it out. It's called Cami Camera 78. It's linked down below and you can go see some of my photography work there if that interests you. Beyond that, I did play guitar a little bit once upon a time, but again, haven't really had the chance to pick it up in a long time, so big rip there. And once upon a time, in what feels like a previous life, I used to do a lot of drawing as well, but haven't really had the chance to pick up a pencil or a pen and paper in a long time either. So been a while, but yeah, right now gaming and content creation is taking up the majority of my time because I just don't have time for anything else. Have to say, I do enjoy Lego. Lego building and Lego collecting is one of my sort of favorite things to do whenever I'm just looking for some time to relax. In fact, bear with me. This right here is the latest set that I sort of built. It's the, I don't know if it's a limited edition or anything, but it's the Ford GT set, and I love it. Like like this is, I think, a 1967 Ford GT, and this is probably my favorite car of all time, and my partner got it for me as a birthday gift this year. So love it to death. Probably my favorite Lego set that I own right now, and it's of my favorite car. Anyone who's watched like Gone in 60 Seconds, the Nick Cage movie, knows why this car is amazing. So yeah, happy days. But anyway, yeah, moving on to the next question from We Explode People. He says, do you think the Planetside community overreacts to things most of the time? I think there's very select portions of the community who have very strong ideas as to what they want this game to be, and there's different subsections of the community that clash on that quite a lot. There are some things that I think have overreacted upon in the past, but in saying that, I think there's also situations where the reaction's been pretty fair. The Seeker HLX crossbow, for example, the reaction on that I think was more than valid because it ruined the game for a whole weekend. You know, a big streamer, Summit1G, came to the game that weekend and he just got AC-130 to death by light assaults with Seekers. So, not great. I think that was a situation where it was fair. I think the whole outfit wars drama that took place, I think that was silly at times, but also warranted at other times too. Outfit wars just tired me, man. But yeah, I think there's times where it's valid, sometimes where it's not, but of course that's always going to depend on the perspective of the person that's reacting to the thing and the people who, you know, it's all about priorities really, and who prioritizes certain things in certain ways. So sometimes yes, sometimes no, and that's going to depend on who you ask. So that's just me. Raja asks, favorite game or games of all time or at the moment, and why? Favorite games of all time? Holy shit. I gotta walk down memory lane for this goddamn question. All right, favorite games of all time. For one, definitely Fallout New Vegas. I spent hours upon hours playing that game, and I think it's probably one of the first games I ever sort of lost track of time of playing. So Fallout New Vegas is definitely up there on the list of some of my favorite games of all time. I definitely have to throw Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2010 in there as well. Like, that game came out when I was sort of just entering my teen years. I really loved cars. I really loved watching things like Top Gear, stuff like that. And I also loved cops and races. I loved that sort of core rivalry there. And that game came out and it was everything I wanted it to be. And now I own a Nintendo Switch and I bought the remastered version for my Switch, and now it's just a great game to play, like on the odd occasion. And when I first booted up the remastered version on my Switch recently, and I saw that theme, I saw the graphics, I saw the cars again, it was a nostalgia bomb. So definitely that game there as well. Another favorite title of mine has to be Something like Burnout Paradise, I have really fond memories of spending hours playing that with like my brother and my cousin on our Xbox 360 back in the day. Burnout Paradise, top tier time back in the day. Supreme Commander Forged Alliance, if you're looking for like an RTS game, love that game. And I still have it installed to this day. I just haven't played it in a long time because I just haven't had the time. So a big shame, I have to say. And another series that I've loved was the Red Dead Redemption series. That was a title that sort of, I don't know, there was something about the storytelling, something about the characters, something about the gameplay, something about just the whole thing really sat with me in a way that I never expected a game to sit with me. Like, very few games have made me emotional. Red Dead Redemption 2 did that, and it did it with gusto. Yeah, we streamed that game and it made me emotional. Very rough time to play in a good way though, so I think Red Dead Redemption is up there as one of my favorite game series of all time as well. So next up, we've got Stranel. He says, why did you choose the same mic I have? Well, mate, we've just got, you know, great minds think alike, all right? Just need to get that out of the way really quickly. Why is your hair the color of your carrots? Well, clearly being a nerd that's pale as shit in Australia wasn't enough as far as the bullying front was concerned. So genetics, the Lord above, whatever you believe in, decided to give me red hair as well. And what are your feelings and opinions on the small competitive community and the tournaments they hold? I mean, it's something that I've sort of changed opinions on over the years. I personally don't get into it as much as I probably should do. But then again, I'm just so busy that I don't really have the time to get into it these days. But I've got a respect for the people who can really play infantry at a high level in Planetside too. And to see the people like sort of display that level of skill on that smaller scale in situations where you probably have more impact as a single soldier, I think it's admirable. So it's something that I've been wanting to explore a bit more often lately. I'm nowhere near to the degree of skill to compete in such an environment regularly, but I think it's a really interesting side of the game, and I like that it's a thing for the players who are interested in it. So yeah, it's good to see. And last but not least for the day, we've got something from Sluggy Fresh, who is a brand new channel member. So thank you, by the way, for supporting the channel, mate. He says, what's your current GPU and CPU pairing? And do you build your own rigs? Also, have you spent any time on console? And if so, what's your favorite console of all time? So starting off with the current rig, I have an AMD Ryzen 5900X with an RTX 3080, pretty beefy CPU and GPU combo, and it runs a lot of the games I play, even while streaming at top tier refresh rates. I don't build all my own rigs. I actually got this rig custom built, but I added the GPU after the fact myself, just because, well, I work pretty much all the time with my computers for both my IRL job and my YouTube and stuff like that. So I need my rig for as up for as long as possible, and I'm not the most experienced builder out there, so I actually got this thing custom built at a local shop. Something I'd like to do more often, building my own PCs, but right now I just don't have the time in the world to do it. And I have spent some time on consoles. I don't play them competitively or anything like that, but I think my favorite console of all time has to be my Xbox 360. It's the console I've spent the most amount of time on. It's the console that really got me grounded in gaming. You know, it had things like, you know, I played Xbox 360 when things like the Modern Warfare series first came out, when Halo 3 came out, when, you know, that Need for Speed Hot Pursuit game came out, where Most Wanted came out, when, you know, all these really cool games came out. And yeah, I have mad respect for Xbox 360, and it was definitely a console that spent a lot of years with me, and I've got a lot of fun memories on. So yeah, mad respect to Xbox 360. It was the real one back in the day. That was a lot of questions, and we got through them all at the end of the day, but big shout out to you guys for submitting them all. I appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed this style of video. Hope it lets you learn a bit more about the dude behind the content creator. If you want to see this more, let me know down below. I'd be interested in doing this sort of on a monthly basis, and leave some questions if you want to see more of those come the channel's way. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to back in the like button, it goes a long way, and if you're new here, consider subscribing to stay up to date with whenever we go live on the streams or we release a new video. I would recommend, guys, that if you do want to hang out with us in a more of a relaxed way, yeah, come join our live streams. We do them right here on YouTube. It's the place to be, and we have a nice sort of chilled vibe whenever we go live. So looking forward to seeing you guys there as well. If you want to support the channel further, consider a channel membership down below. As always, it goes a long way as well. And yeah, I think that's everything. It is everything. Once again, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Peace out, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Take care, guys. Have a good one.